What if I told you that some of reggae's biggest stars had secrets they tried to hide? From Buju Banton's shocking trafficking conviction to Busy Signal's surprise extradition to the US. Here are 10 shocking scandals reggae singers tried to hide. Eek-A-Mouse. Eek-A-Mouse is a reggae artist from Jamaica known for creating a unique sound in the early dancehall scene. Unlike many of the toasting DJs at the time, Eek-A-Mouse introduced a playful, high-pitched, and almost cartoonish scatting style that set him apart. He got his start in college, recording 2 roots reggae tracks under his real name, with the help of his math tutor, Mr. Dehaney. His early music was influenced by artists like Pablo Moses. As the years went by, he played with sound systems and released more singles. In 1979, he changed his stage name to Eek-A-Mouse. The name was inspired by a racehorse he always bet on, and that his friends already used as a nickname for him. His fame grew in the 1980s, and by the time his album Eek-A-Mouse came out in 1988, he was starting to get attention from international fans. One of the songs, The Freak, became a club hit, and Island Records signed him the following year. In 1991, he dropped the album Unique, which featured a mix of reggae and rock, including a reggae-style cover of Led Zeppelin's Dire Mocker. He also appeared in movies that year, including New Jack City, where he played a Rastafarian dealer, and Out for Justice, where he played a pimp's chauffeur. But then, his story took a dark turn. On August 16, 2008, after performing at the Port of Call restaurant in North Carolina, Eek-A-Mouse was arrested and charged with rape and substance possession. At first, he kept things quiet and tried to play it cool, but when his court date came, he didn't show up. That's when it became clear he had skipped town. A warrant was issued for his arrest with a $1 million bond. That's when everything became public. For a while, nobody knew where he was. Then, in 2010, word got out that he was hiding out in the Netherlands. He couldn't travel. Some said it was because of his visa, and others blamed the volcanic eruptions in Iceland. But the hiding didn't last forever. In 2012, Eek-A-Mouse was found in Paraguay without a proper visa and was eventually sent back to the US. Once there, the full list of charges hit him hard: felony, kidnapping, substance possession, and more. In July 2013, he took a plea deal. He didn't admit guilt, but pleaded no contest to reduce charges of assault on a female and attempted crime against nature. Because of the time he had already spent in jail, he was released shortly after and deported back to Jamaica. Vybz Kartel. Vybz Kartel is a Jamaican dancehall artist. He became famous not just for his music, but also for his wild public image and lyrics that stirred up controversy. Kartel's singles include Romping Shop, Dancehall Hero, and Summertime. He has collaborated with a number of hip-hop and R&B artists such as Major Lazer, Rihanna, Missy Elliott, and Allison Hines. Despite his status, he has been involved in a few scandals. In 2011, police arrested Kartel for having cannabis. At first, it seemed like just another celebrity getting into minor trouble, but then things took a more serious turn. Not long after, Jamaica's Major Investigation Task Force charged him with the murder of a local businessman named Barrington Burton. That shook fans. Still, some believed Kartel would beat the charges. While behind bars, Kartel kept up appearances. He even released a book called The Voice of the Jamaican Ghetto, claiming he was locked up, but still speaking out. It felt like he was trying to keep the world focused on his music and message, not the murder case hanging over him. In March 2012, he was granted bail in the Burton case. But just when it looked like he might walk free, another murder charge surfaced this time, for the killing of Clive Williams. Kartel didn't say much, but it was clear he was doing everything he could to protect his image. One of his associates, Vanessa Sadler, even claimed Williams had robbed her, trying to make it look like he was still alive. The trial was delayed several times, but finally started in late 2013. After a long 65-day trial, the longest in Jamaica's history, Kartel was found guilty of killing Williams. In 2014, he was sentenced to life in prison and told he wouldn't be eligible for parole until he had served 35 years. Even in prison, Kartel didn't stop making music, and his fans stayed loyal. In 2020, his parole eligibility was reduced slightly, but the conviction was still in place. Then, in 2024, the UK Privy Council overturned the murder conviction due to jury misconduct. The Jamaican Court of Appeal later ruled that there wouldn't be a retrial, and Kartel, along with 3 others, was released. After years of trying to maintain his innocence and keep the focus on his music, Kartel finally walked free. Fathead. Fathead was a dancehall artist from Kingston, Jamaica, known by many for his electric performances and legendary partnership with Yellow Man in the early 1980s. Before joining forces with Yellow Man, Fathead had already made a name for himself in the local music scene. But when the two teamed up, something magical happened. They performed together at Ace's Disco in St. Thomas and made history by recording the first ever live dancehall album, Live at Ace's. That moment sealed their place in reggae history. Their success didn't stop there. Albums like Bad Boy Skanking and For Your Eyes Only followed, cementing them as one of the most powerful duos in dancehall. However, as Yellow Man began focusing more on his solo career, Fathead branched out and worked with other big names like Beanie Man, Early B, Johnny Ringo, and Ranking Toyon. In 1983, he even scored a solo hit with It's Me. Though he reunited with Yellow Man in 1984 for Showdown Volume 5, his solo journey never quite reached the same level of fame. Then, on December 22nd, 1988, the dancehall world was shaken when news broke that Fathead had been shot and killed in Florida. Fans were shocked. No one saw it coming. But what made the story even more disturbing was what came to light after his death. For years, no one knew the truth behind Fathead's murder. But in an interview long after, Yellow Man revealed something fans never expected. Fathead had been secretly involved in the substance trade. He had kept that life hidden, even from many close to him. When police found his body in an abandoned apartment in Miami, they realized the place was actually being used as a substance house. Neighbors had reported hearing gunshots, but no one imagined it was Fathead inside. Don Drummond. Don Drummond was one of Jamaica's most gifted musicians. He was a genius on the trombone, whose music helped define the ska sound that would later influence reggae and dancehall. As a founding member of the Skatalites, his talent was unmatched. Some even said that George Shearing, a world-famous pianist, believed Drummond was one of the top 5 trombonists alive. His songs were full of emotion and creativity, and his playing style was unique, haunting, and unforgettable. Drummond's journey into music began in the early 1950s. He started off playing jazz and reggae with Eric Dean's All-Stars, and was soon performing in the best clubs across Kingston, like the Big Bucket and Silver Slipper. But in 1964, everything changed. That's when he joined the Skatalites and fully embraced ska. The band became legendary, and so did he. At the same time, he became deeply involved with the Rastafari movement, which influenced both his life and music. But behind the genius was a deeply troubled man. Don Drummond had been struggling with mental illness for years. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, he had already checked himself into Bellevue Hospital more than once before things took a tragic turn. In the early 1960s, he met Margarita Mahfood, a talented dancer and singer at Count Ossie's Rastafarian commune in the Wairika Hills. The two fell in love and started living together, but their relationship was far from peaceful. Drummond was known to be abusive, and those close to them witnessed him lashing out at her, both physically and verbally. Then came New Year's Eve, 1964. That night, the Skatalites were set to perform at a big show at La Parisienne in Harbor View, but Drummond didn't show up. According to reports, Mahfood had accidentally given him the wrong medication before she left for work that evening. When she returned home around 3:30 a.m., something snapped. Drummond attacked her in a fit of rage. He stabbed her in the chest 4 times, killing her. He then walked to the police station and claimed that Mahfood had stabbed herself. But when officers arrived at the house, they found her body on the bed, knife still stuck in her chest, and her hand shoved inside the bell of Drummond's trombone. The scene was disturbing and bizarre. Despite his story, the police didn't buy it, mostly due to the fact that he had always been known to be abusive towards Anita. He was arrested and tried for murder. His band's manager helped him get legal representation, and the court found Drummond guilty, but declared him criminally insane. He was sent back to Bellevue Hospital, where he spent the rest of his life. In 1969, he died inside those hospital walls under mysterious circumstances. Buju Banton. Buju Banton is one of the biggest stars to ever come out of Jamaica. His music mixes dancehall, reggae, and ragga, creating a powerful sound that touched people all over the world. He worked with artists from many genres: hip-hop, Latin, punk rock, and even teamed up with the sons of Bob Marley. He started young, releasing his first singles back in 1987. But 1992 was the year everything changed. That year, he dropped 2 albums, Stamina Daddy and Mr. Mention. Mr. Mention broke records and became the best-selling album in Jamaican history at the time. He even passed Bob Marley and the Wailers for the most number. 1 hit in Jamaica. As his fame grew, so did his influence. His music often carried strong messages about faith, love, and life in the streets. People looked up to him. He wasn't just an entertainer, he was a voice for many. But then, everything changed. In 2011, Buju Banton was found guilty of trafficking in the United States. At first, fans couldn't believe it. Many questions were asked, including, the same Buju who always seems spiritual and strong? He was never known to be involved with substances. It almost felt like he was hiding something all along. His first trial ended in a hung jury, but the U.S. prosecutors came back with more evidence. They had video and audio recordings from an informant. In one of the clips, Buju was seen tasting a white substance inside a Florida warehouse. That was the moment everything became real. He was found guilty of conspiracy to distribute the illegal substance and sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Even while behind bars, Buju's music didn't fade. In fact, his album Before the Dawn, released in 2010, won a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. After serving 7 years, Buju was released in December 2018. And when he came home, he came back strong. In 2019, he kicked off the Long Walk to Freedom tour, and his first concert in Kingston's National Stadium drew over 30,000 fans. He also dropped new music like Country for Sale, which shot straight to the top of the iTunes Reggae chart. If you are enjoying this video, appreciate it by giving it a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Busy Signal. Busy Signal is a well-known Jamaican dancehall artist who became one of the most important voices in modern reggae music. He stepped onto the scene in the early 2000s and quickly made an impression. In 2005, he dropped his debut single, Step Out, and it was an instant hit. His music was fresh, his voice was unique, and fans loved how real he sounded. That same year, he released an album by the same name, Step Out, and it confirmed what people already felt. Busy Signal was here to stay. From 2007 to 2008, he released a string of bangers like Nah, Go a Jail Again, Smoke Some High Grade, TikTok, and Unknown Number. These songs lit up the Caribbean and even made waves in the US. Busy wasn't just a dancehall artist, he was becoming an international star. But then, in May 2012, something happened that shocked his fans. Busy Signal was arrested at Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. The news spread fast, but what came next surprised even more people. The United States had asked for his extradition because of old crack-related charges. This didn't make sense to most people because Busy Signal wasn't known for being involved with substances. It was later revealed that, back in February 2002, Busy Signal ran into serious legal trouble in the United States. He was charged with 2 substance-related offenses, and if found guilty, he faced at least 15 years in prison. But instead of staying to face trial, he left the country. For years, nothing was said, and fans had no idea he was wanted in the US. It was a surprise to many. Busy had always kept a clean image in public, and this didn't fit the person fans thought they knew. His image was clean, his music was about life, struggles, and street vibes, but not that. It felt like something from the past that he didn't want anyone to know about. Maybe he had hoped it would never catch up with him. In June 2012, he was extradited to the US and faced the court, not for the drug charges themselves, but for running from the law and skipping bail. After he was released in November 2012, people still had questions. So, when he finally spoke up in an interview, he tried to clear the air. He said, "I was wrongfully accused of having 1.5 kilos of substance, extradited to the United States, and received a 6-month sentence. First of all, I had never in my wildest dreams thought of anything like that ever happening to me. I looked like a disgrace to my fans and family. However, it is all in the past, and everything is back on the right track. He came back strong. Just after his release in November 2012, he dropped a new track called Come Shock Out. That same year, his album Reggae Music Again was ranked at number 7 on BBC Music's top 25 albums of 2012. Baby Wayne. Baby Wayne was a Jamaican dancehall artist. At a time when many other artists were singing about flashy lifestyles and crime, Baby Wayne stood out. His lyrics were different, real, thoughtful, and full of warning. He told young people to stay away from the streets, from violence, and from bad company. He started making waves in the early 1990s when he worked with the well-known producers Steely and Clevie. In 1991, he had a big hit with a song called Mama, which touched the hearts of many. More songs followed like Road Me Wan Come and Warder. In 1993, he joined forces with the legendary Leroy Smart to create the song Me Know Me Friend. It was produced by Winston Holness and became a top 10 hit in Jamaica. The success led to a big opportunity, a record deal with Heartbeat Records. The next year, in 1994, Baby Wayne released his first album, Ram DJ. The album had special appearances from big names like Sugar Minott and Dennis Brown. Everything seemed to be going well, but as time passed, things started to shift. Even though Baby Wayne had built his name on positive, conscious lyrics, he later began to release songs that were more like what the crowd wanted. It was a big change from the messages he used to sing, but not many people questioned it. Maybe they thought it was just part of growing with the times. Then, in 2005, tragedy struck. Baby Wayne died on October 28th at the Kingston Public Hospital due to complications from pneumonia. It was a sad moment for dancehall fans everywhere. But years later, in 2017, something surprising came out. During an interview, fellow artist Ninja Man made a confession that shocked reggae lovers. He said that during their time, a number of artists were secretly struggling with substance addiction. One of them, he claimed, was Baby Wayne. Until then, nobody had heard that before. Baby Wayne had always seemed clean, focused, and conscious. He never spoke about substance use publicly. George Nooks. George Nooks is a well-known Jamaican reggae and gospel singer. His journey began in the church, where he sang in the youth choir. As he grew older, he performed at school concerts and talent shows, slowly building his confidence and love for music. In 1974, George started recording music professionally. Back then, he used the name Prince Muhammad and found early success as a DJ. He worked with big names like producer Joe Gibbs and performed on Dennis Brown's 1978 hits Money in My Pocket and How Could I Leave. He also did tracks like Light Up Your Spliff for producer Prince Tony Robinson. His unique voice and style helped him stand out. And he continued working with other respected producers like Alvin Ranglin and Bunny Riley. In 1978, he released his first album, People Are You Ready, alongside General Echo. But as time went on, George Nooks shifted gears. He moved from DJing to singing and eventually into gospel music. In 2016, he released the album Ride Out Your Storm, which became a big success. It reached number 4 on the Billboard Reggae Albums chart and number 22 on the gospel chart. Fans saw him as someone who had transformed his life, from the dancehall world to gospel, from street vibes to spiritual songs. But behind the scenes, things weren't so clean. Around the same time he was singing about faith and redemption, rumors began to swirl. George was trying to keep something quiet, something that didn't match the image he was showing to the world. He tried to keep it hidden, but eventually the truth started to slip out. In May 2017, police in St. Andrew, Jamaica, stopped him and allegedly found a small plastic bag of illegal substances inside his Mercedes-Benz SUV. He was charged with possession and released on $80,000 bail. 2 years later, in May 2019, the case went to trial. The court found too many holes in the evidence, so he was found not guilty. George walked free, but it wasn't over. Just weeks before that not guilty verdict, in April 2019, he was arrested again during a police operation in Liguania. Officers claimed they saw him throw away a capsule filled with a white substance. He was held for 24 hours at Kingston Public Hospital, but no charges were laid. His lawyer even threatened to sue the police for false imprisonment. Still, the story didn't end there. In October 2020, George was rearrested. This time, the director of public prosecution stepped in. He was charged again, this time not only for illegal substance possession, but also for trying to block justice. Police said he tried to swallow something during processing. George pleaded not guilty again, got bail for $300,000, and waited for trial. The case dragged on, postponed again and again. For fans, it was hard to square the man singing gospel songs with the man caught in legal drama. Beanie Man. Beanie Man is one of Jamaica's most famous dancehall artists. He's been in the music game for as long as anyone can remember. Beanie started performing at just 5 years old, encouraged by his uncle, Sidney Knowles, who used to play drums for Jimmy Cliff. By age 8, he had already won the Tasty Talent contest in 1981 and started building a name for himself in Kingston's sound system scene. People called him the 10-year-old DJ Wonder, and with good reason. In the early days, he recorded with big names like Henry Junjo, Lawyers, and Bunny Lee. His music took off in Jamaica and beyond, eventually leading to global hits like Who Am I?, Feel It Boy with Janet Jackson, and King of the Dancehall. By the mid-2000s, he was a household name internationally, and the Associated Press even crowned him the king of the dancehall scene. But behind the hit songs and flashy stage performances, there was a quiet storm brewing. In 2008, things took a serious turn when a Jamaican judge issued an arrest warrant for Beanie Man. The reason was that he had skipped a court date where he was supposed to explain how he planned to pay off over a decade's worth of unpaid taxes. The total bill was about $415,000 in back taxes, plus $246,000 in penalties. The court wasn't amused. Judge Owen Parkin said, "No one is above the law," and issued the warrant immediately. What's interesting, though, is how Beanie tried to keep the whole issue quiet. At first, he told the court he didn't even know he owed any taxes. He blamed the people who had previously managed his career, saying it was their job to handle the payments. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Beanie Man was reportedly trying to strike a deal with the tax department, hoping to settle the matter privately before it ever reached the headlines. But then something changed. His lawyer, Roderick Gordon, revealed that Beanie Man had decided to fight the tax assessment instead. This move made the case public, and just like that, the whole situation exploded into the media. The private negotiations were over, and Beanie's tax problems were now front-page news. Ninja Man. Ninja Man, also known as Don Gorgon, is one of Jamaica's most famous and controversial dancehall artists. He built a name for himself with his tough lyrics, wild performances, and a voice full of drama. But behind the fame was a life filled with chaos, transformation, and secrets he didn't want anyone to know. His story began when he was just 14 years old, DJing on the Black Culture sound system under the name Double Ugly. A few years later, he joined the well-known Kilimanjaro sound system, where he got to learn from veterans like Super Cat and Early B. After a short run calling himself Ugly Man, he finally settled on the name that stuck, Ninja Man. In 1987, Ninja Man had his first major hit with Protection, a duet with Courtney Melody. From then on, he worked with many top producers like King Jammy, Philip Faddis, Burl, and Steely and Clevie. Ninja Man was known for his ability to freestyle all his lyrics right there in the studio, with no pen, no paper, just raw energy. Between 1989 and 1992, he released some of his biggest hits, Murder Dem, Permit to Bury, Border Clash, and Above the Law. These songs were hard-hitting, full of violence and gun talk. His on-stage battles with artists like Supercat, Fluorgon, and Shabba Ranks only made his image more fierce. But by 1993, the heat from critics who blamed him for promoting violence began to cool his career. Show bookings dropped, and many producers backed away. Then, out of nowhere, Ninja Man made a surprising change. By 1997, he was calling himself Brother Desmond and singing gospel reggae. He said he had found God and wanted to leave his wild past behind. He also admitted to struggling with substance addiction and claimed he was now clean through born-again Christianity. On the surface, it looked like a man turning his life around. But not everyone bought it. People whispered that the transformation was just a mask, that he was trying to hide the same rough lifestyle he had always lived. Then, the truth started to come out. In March 2009, Ninja Man and his son Janiel were arrested. They were accused of being involved in the murder of Ricardo Johnson, a man who was shot on Marl Road in Kingston. Ninja Man was granted bail in 2012, but even getting the trial started was a mess out of 58 needed jurors. Only 15 showed up. The court kept pushing the date back, from 2012 to 2015, then again to 2016. Finally, on the 20th of November 2017, after years of delays, Ninja Man was found guilty of murder, along with his co-accused. Which of these scandals shocked you the most when you first heard of it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content.